back in the garage. I installed the headlights. You can follow me on Instagram, Old School Lego. You've seen that I posted a picture up of them. Well, I tried to hook it up to the high beam was the plan, so whenever I put up the high beam, then they would come on. But the issue with Subaru is everything has power to it. Instead of using a switched power, they use a switched ground. So all of your fuses in the engine bay are hot. So on the front side and the back side, they're all hot. It doesn't matter. They have power all the time. So you can't pull off here. So if you want to have power coming through the engine bay, like a switched power, the sub fan here, you can do it. But it makes it really difficult because newer cars, everything's more compact and more tightly bound up and that kind of thing, versus like my older Legacy was pretty simple to do. So I don't want to have any more wires coming off the battery. Like I've already got one for my trickle charger, and I don't want to have any more mess. And I already had done for the top mount intercooler, or excuse me, for the fan, I had spliced in power here, and then I had it connected up top here like this, but it's kind of ugly and I don't like it. Again, I'm kind of a little tedious about things, so I want to make it look really good. Like there's the ground that I did. It looks pretty good. So what I'm going to show you is a cleaner way to do it. It does take time and you can't be afraid to do it, but the first thing, so we're dealing with electrical stuff. You don't want to short something and then not be able to find out what it was, or it takes time. So just go ahead and disconnect your negative camera, then you won't have any issues. So disconnect your battery. You can disconnect it entirely or just do your negative, whatever you want to do. So at that point, what I did is you lift this up. There's tang there, you can see one there, and one on that side. It's best to use a screwdriver and just, you're going to press it inboard on this whole board here, and then you'll lift up, and you'll see them unclip and do it one at a time. This little rubber thing sits onto the back side here. There's a cutout. It's kind of hard to see, but anyways, you're going to pull this up, and everything's tightly bound, so you don't have to worry about, you're not going to pull any wires out. It's kind of concerning at first, but it's tightly in there. Then what I did is I unclipped this connector here just to give me a little bit more room. And then you've got your two wires here. You can kind of see they're both white. It's kind of hard to... but I just took off this nut here on this forward part. This white wire here, it's a smaller gauge, just a little bit than this one. This one goes to the battery, the other one goes to the alternator, I believe. So I just used the smaller wire. Take this nut off, make you a, basically this is going to be my two power wires. So one is going to be for the top mount intercooler relay, and then the driving light, fog light relay. So just make it long enough so you don't have to do too many connectors, and the plan is to have both the relays in here, then I'll have my inline fuses with the switch in the cabin. So it's a little bit cleaner install. Everything's out of the elements for the most part. You can see you still get dust and shit in here, but at least there's no water when you go to wash it. So the best thing to do is, I think all of these I might have got, I use I think it's Parts Warehouse or something like that to get all this kind of extra electrical stuff. And again, to make things cleaner, what I do is I just removed this plastic, because this plastic doesn't crimp very well. It's shitty. So you just take this plastic, you just twist it, and it'll come off. Sometimes they're difficult on other ones, but then you get yourself a crimping tool. This is Tool Aid. I bought it off of eBay. It does pretty much all of your gauges. It comes with a case. It has different gauges if you need to change it, but the biggest one is 12 to 10. You've got 16 to 18, and what else? Or 16 to 14, and then 22 to 18. So pretty much your standard sizes you're going to need on here. You shouldn't need anything bigger for the most part. You know, you strip your wires, get yourself a nice wire stripper. I got this off a boat a long time ago. But it's just a wire stripper. You can find these online, that kind of thing. See if this has a name. Blue Point. So anyways, you know, you strip your wires like you normally would. I can kind of show you here. Sorry, I don't have this on the tripod right now, but it's real easy. You know, there's other ways to do it. You can use a knife, that kind of thing, whatever. But then you just stick it into the tool like that. You put it on the back side, so that's in the tool, in the back side there. Crimp it down, and you're good. Then always use heat shrink again. It just makes it look nicer. It's a look cleaner. You don't have to worry about anything. Then you just put that nut back on, and you've got your power wires. So at that point, that is set. So I'll be able to put this back down. Again, I'm going to use probably that sub fan for the basically trigger wire or your signal for the switch. So you're going to have, this is going to be hot all the time, but it's not going to come on until it gets a signal, because I'm using the ignition as the switch. So you're going to have power all the time going to your relay. It's not going to get voltage though. So you're going to have power coming in on 30. Let's see if you can see that. So you can look online, and there's other videos. So this is a 5 point relay versus a regular 4, but basically you'll have 30. You're going to have your hot, and then 87 will be going to your accessory. I'm not going to use 87A because that's always going to have power then. So 87 is going to be your accessory, 30 is going to be your hot, and then 86 is going to be your signal. So for me, it's going to be when you put the key to on, the car is running, or it's just on, you know, accessory on. It has voltage going through that. When the car is off, there's no voltage. So that's your coil there. So it has that signal going through there, and then that's just going to go to a ground. And then again, as soon as power is applied to this, you're going to have your hot coming in through here, which then goes to whatever accessory running. The big upside of using relays is it's almost like it's an electric or electronic remote basically. So instead of always having a thicker gauged hot wire going into your cabin, you can use something a lot smaller. So basically, this stays in here. I have a little, you can use a little signal gauge wire, goes to your switch, or will come from your relay, it goes to your switch. That way your switch has power when the car is on, and then you put the switch to on, then it completes the circuit. So it's basically with using a relay and then another external switch somewhere, you have 2 switches, or almost 3, because you have the first one is going to be you're only getting power when the car's on, but then the power goes to your relay, so that's the second switch, and then the power then goes to your remote switch, which you would have in the cabin. So if the car's not on, you don't get any of those. If the car is on, you get 2 of them, but then the accessory's not on until you have your third switch, which would be your external. So makes things a little bit safer for the most part. Again, that way you don't have to worry about fires. And then again, I'll use a relay also, or excuse me, a fuse. So in case I'm pulling too much amp or something like that, you'll blow the fuse, and you won't ruin your accessory or start a fire. Then the next part is routing into the cabin, and on at least the newer Legacies and the majority of cars, it's become increasingly harder because of all the sound deadening and all that kind of stuff. It's not as easy just to find access points. So normally you would come in through the passenger side, but I've already got enough shit that I don't want to have to cross it through the back side here, because I'm not taking any of this out. So I'm going to go where my boost gauge is, where my boost line is, if you can see that. So I've already pulled it back. I'll just pull it off the sensor down here, pull the boost line back through, and then feed them all through. So I should need, but I think 4 wires, because you got to have it coming in and then going back out. So, but that'll enable me to just put the switches. I don't want to make it too ricey, but I'll probably end up, I don't know, maybe putting them here on this knee bolster, just so they're kind of out of the way. But for right now, I don't have any other place. I don't really want to put them there, and I don't want to have them anywhere else. So that's probably what I'll do. But that is that, and I'll show you some more things in a bit. But that's the start of it. Alright, we're getting closer. So, got both of my relays rigged up. Again, got my grounds here. That's going to be for the switched power. When it comes through the cabin, it'll go through the relay, through the coil to ground here, and then that'll close the contact. So we got that on both sides, or on both relays. I've got my hose wired up, so the ground will be right here. If you can see that, right at the bottom of the latch, the 3 bolts. Then I put wire loom on it, so it looks a little bit factory. And then up under the support here, I just zip tied it to the cable latch. And you follow it, and then it goes underneath this. When you open it up, you can see. So it goes right in there. This will be able to close. Then I put the relays underneath this board here. Just pull it up again, how I showed you guys how to disconnect, but pull it up all the way. Put them underneath there. That way they're out of the way. I can see them. I can get to them probably. Again, this is fairly easy to pull up, so if I have to change a relay or fuse out, I can do that easily. I just put 15 amp fuses in both of them. It's not too high where there's fire because they don't blow, and it's not too low where they just blow for no reason, which they should anyways. But so I just went with a standard 15. Right now, again, I'm doing the signal wires here, so I'm just kind of following how I have my boost line going into the cabin. And you got to use the old handy dandy trusty wire coat hanger with the wires with the tape on the end, just like, see if you can see that, just like that. Then you just push it through till it pops through. Now on these models, you've got, if you can see it, there's a fender, that black part right there. It's like a sound deadener, again, insulation, also keeps debris out. So again, these newer cars have this kind of stuff, older ones don't. But I've got that now, so I'll be able to untape it, push it through the wire loom there, or the grommet, into the cabin, and then I'll have to find power, switched power. And what I did was I just disconnected, you can't see, I disconnected this back connector. It's the brown one, it's the most bottom connector on the fuse panel here. And I'll probably just pull from, if you can see it, that red wire there, that should be 12 volt switched ignition power. So again, when the vehicle's off, there's no power to that wire, and when it's on, there is power. But once I route these wires, I'll connect the battery and just double check to make sure that is a 12 or just the switch power. Then I'll just tap into it, and should be good to go. That way it'll be a clean install. And then I'll have to, last but not least, figure out what I'm going to do with my switches. Probably one of the easiest things maybe is just to drill into this. Then I'll just download this offline or something, or take a picture and save it. I kind of don't want to, but this is at least probably cheaper to replace. It'll be easier to find than cutting into this, and that way if I ever change the switches out somewhere else, all I got to do is replace this and not this whole piece. So that'll probably be the best bet. Again, it'll be kind of hidden out of the way versus like on an older car having it up here, you know, where the shifter is or something like that. So I think that's the plan. So I'll keep knocking it out and then see what happens.